So, tell me something terrible. I guess Prey is available on Hulu. I don't know what it is. It's a show, movie, whatever. We've been suggested to watch it.
Prey?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a scary movie?
I don't know. Prey, 2022 film. I feel like we saw the...
Is it somehow somebody's going to try to save our soul? Be like, you guys need Jesus. You should watch this movie named Prey.
A skilled Comanche? Whatever, warrior. I don't know how it's pronounced. Protects her tribe from a highly evolved alien predator that hunts humans
it's
for
an all
sport.
Native American cast.
Fighting against... Is it?
Yeah, yep. I saw a thing on my Facebook that was like, it's like winning awards, and it was the first time all Native American cast.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I guess the main character is Amber Midthunder.
Sweet.
And then Dane DeLiargo. I don't know if he's... But anyway, there's obviously the aliens aren't Native American.
No. I think they might be CGI.
But anyway, the highly evolved alien predators that hunt human for sport, fighting against wilderness dangerous colonizers and this mysterious creature to keep their people safe. So anyway, it's on Hulu, so we can watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what we can do after this.
Okay.
Do you want to record this now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Are we going to just start with all of that?
Sure. Okay. Everybody watch Prey. Let us know what you think. It's on Hulu.
And we'll watch it 10 years from now and make really bad references to it.
Maybe we'll watch it. It comes at the recommendation of a patron.
Okay.
Dano. And
we should probably take this time to also shout out
Juanita
Disney,
who shares and likes everything,
and Megan Locke. I don't know if it's Locke or Lockie. You think I'd know?
It's Locke with an E. It's Locke with an E.
Let's just tell everybody their names.
They like our stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. You could say names. Anyway, we really appreciate you guys liking and sharing everything.
Yep. There's ways to support us without doing Patreon stuff,
yes.
and we appreciate you folk as well.
Yes.
And we have upped our TikTok and YouTube game.
Yes.
So if you see that stuff, feel free to like it.
And also don't judge this. I don't know if you can see the green stripe on my forehead. I just got done
and anything
doing my
we
hair.
make from this video?
Yeah.
I'll be sure to zoom in on it.
Thank you.
That'll be a whole TikTok of me just being like, look at this green streak on her head.
I'm going to read like this the rest of the time.
And I think this would be a good time. Oh, do you want to introduce ourselves real quick?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are. But we are, this month is chaos.
It is.
We're going down to not visit two of our patrons because they're patrons, but because they're getting married. Yes, and they're friends. We're doing that this weekend.
Yes.
2 weekends from now, we are going somewhere else.
Yep.
On vacation.
Yep.
Oh, to Cuyahoga Valley.
Yeah. Don't rob us.
We're not giving dates of this stuff. We'll be gone before people even hear this. Anyway, 2 out of the next 4 weekends we're gone.
And then we have an anniversary coming up.
And we have our anniversary coming up. So we
have the first day of school coming up.
And we have the last 3 weeks of summer with our kid. Anyway, all that to say, we are going to take like a 3-week vacation for the first time ever on this podcast.
Yes.
So unless the only episode that'll come out in the next 3 weeks is the Patreon episode.
Yes.
Which is that's an unintentional shameless plug towards the Patreon. That episode will come out this month because you all pay for an episode a month.
Yes.
And that's an act of appreciation. But we will, I don't know, whatever that is, 3 to 4 weeks from now, you'll see another episode pop up. But yeah, there's going to be a brief break while we just simply don't have time because we won't physically be here for 2 weekends out of the next 3.
No.
And the other weekend is pretty much the only weekend we have like home with our kid before she goes back to school.
Yep.
So
we want to feel like parents too.
Yeah. So we're taking a little summer break. And
we need to start prepping for Halloween season.
But this is also episode 104 plus whatever 15, 16, 17 Patreon episodes. Mm-hmm. We're like 120 episodes deep.
Yeah.
So if you
tell your friends,
if you happen to be caught up,
if you're caught up, tell some friends and be like, now's the time to catch up.
Yes.
And then we'll be on the same page when we start back over.
Yeah. But anyway, and you never know, we might get bored and record a short one or something.
Sure.
But we're still going to try to do, like, we have so much video and stuff to catch up on for TikToks and YouTube. That stuff will still be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
All right. Are we good with our announcement?
I think that's good on the business front. Sure.
Okay. All right. You just want to jump right into it?
Yeah. Also, it's like 94 degrees out today.
And it's like 84 degrees in the
yes
pod room.
So there might be a break to like towel off. Just kidding.
Yes.
No, I was.
Go get like the ice
and today,
towels put on our necks.
Today was the race at our local racetrack. We have a NASCAR track like 10 miles from us. People that live here know that. But the traffic when it leaves, like they're in the week before, they all kind of file in at different days.
Yeah.
We don't get that much traffic. But after the race, the exit traffic, a portion of it comes by our house.
Mass exodus of just rednecks that are half drunk and hungover and mad that they're sunburnt. And
they've been out in the 90s. So if you
haven't showered in 3 days.
If you hear like trucks, like loud trucks outside, just ignore that.
Well, this also is like the byway to get to the highway too.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the routes, yes.
Yeah. So.
And 94 is
Let's just really give everybody all the details they need to pinpoint our exact location. That would be great.
It wouldn't be hard to find us.
No. Okay.
Come hang out. Come say hi. Just kidding.
We have security cameras.
We do.
And we know the cops.
And a 12-pound dog, so watch yourself.
She'll get you ankles. Okay.
Anyway.
Let's jump in.
You said this one's long and heavy.
Yep. So get your jokes out and be very mindful and sensitive of your jokes.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
I'm not an asshole. I mean, I can be, but I usually try to be an asshole towards the bad guy.
Yeah. Well.
Is there bad guys in this one?
Just us. Just
you and I personally?
No.
Okay.
As a collective whole.
Cool.
Okay.
So this is going to be anti-white people.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So.
That's usually that's when you give me that preface, that's usually also this tablecloth is horribly wrinkly that we record on.
Are you just going to fidget with it the whole time?
It's going to stress me out the whole time, but I'm going to try to not touch it because then it's connected to my mic and then it would, but anyway, just for the collective whole, just know what I'm dealing with on this end. Okay.
And we're just going to really he's already like,
I'm getting a dick with it for the next hour.
Yes, he's already slightly triggered just because his surroundings are chaos, so let's just make it worse.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway.
Ready?
Yep.
Sorry.
Are you ready?
I'm ready now.
Susie Belch a lot over there?
So, prior to Oklahoma earning its statehood in 1907, it was known as Indian Territory.
Okay.
It was dubbed this because the land was a designated home decided by the U.S. government for all of the Native Americans that President Jackson rounded up and sent along this little journey known as the Trail of Tears.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Familiar.
Yep. So, the Native Americans were allowed to bring along their slaves, though.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I didn't realize Native Americans had slaves.
Some of them.
Can I ask who their slaves were?
Yeah. Was everybody's slaves.
Okay. I guess I didn't.
They were enslaved too. They could be enslaved as well. Not could be. They were allowed to also be enslaved? No, they were also enslaved as well. But yes, some like richer Native Americans had slaves.
Okay.
So once Abraham Lincoln.
This is just me being taught American history.
I didn't know that either until I started researching this. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I was like, how did black people get out in Oklahoma? And they were like Trail of Tears, and they brought their slaves along. I was like, what?
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that they had bought slaves prior to 1907.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 1907 is when Oklahoma became a state. So this is...
But still, yeah, I know.
Before
before that.
1865,
yeah.
when we had our Civil War. So, Abraham Lincoln, all know and love, it was Robert Todd's secret assassin's father.
Yes.
Yeah. It's my conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
He signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and the news that slavery had finally, on paper anyway, ended. Oklahoma,
I've heard of that.
Yes. Oklahoma then became the home of those freed enslaved people. So the Native Americans took them along. When the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, that's when they were then free. And so they had a place to live. That's where they settled, where they were found. And they actually, a lot of them then acclimated into Native American culture after they were...
Makes sense.
Yeah, after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Easy for you to say.
I am not going to say that again. So...
30 or 40 more times.
Yes. So, and then other freed people soon migrated in an attempt to escape the Jim Crow laws and black codes enacted in the southern states.
Makes sense.
So everybody was like, hey, we heard that this was a refuge. So by the early 1900s, there was like a mass flock of black people.
Okay.
So there, black people could be truly free and able to build safe and thriving communities for themselves. There were over 45 of them in just Oklahoma.
Communities?
Just all black communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a fair bit, I bet.
Yeah. And then someone found oil.
Hey, this sounds like a story I read to you on the Patreon.
Yep.
Where it was all fine and then they found gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Oklahoma was voted, against many people's wishes, into the Union.
Okay.
And with that came a massive influx of poor white people from the South hoping to make it rich from the oil companies.
All right.
So Tulsa, it was right next to one of the biggest, it was a small, rich reserve. So it was like a really small reserve of like the finest oil at the time. Tulsa was sitting right next to it. It went from a sleepy little cow farm town to a big boom like oil town. And when the whites arrived, they brought along with them that good old Southern hospitality and the resurgence of the KKK.
Oh, hospitality. I don't know if that's the word I would have gone with, but okay.
Yep. It's a cute way to put it.
So these were coming from Oklahoma from the deeper South, essentially? Okay.
Yeah, because Oklahoma's kind of considered a little bit, it's almost Midwest. It's like middle of the country.
Well, Texas is so fucking big. Anything north of Texas is pretty not south.
Yeah. Yes. So by the 1920s, Oklahoma's very own chapter of the KKK had grown to 100,000 members.
Okay.
Yep, in one state. And what was later dubbed race riots had been ramping up for years, culminating to the Red Summer of 1919, where white people attacked black neighborhoods in dozens of cities across the country, and lynchings happened on the reg.
All right. Race riots. Is it? Okay.
It's a cute way to put it, too, huh?
It's an odd...
It's literally defined as white people attacking black neighborhoods.
Yeah, no, it's just... Yeah, it's just...
Because up until this point, it was not a lot of deaths.
It's just assault or manslaughter, murder, whatever you want to call it. It's not a race riot, but yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
We'll get to that eventually. So a wealthy black man named O.W. Gurley bought 40 acres...
Just a cool name.
Yeah, there's a lot of great names in here.
Yeah.
So O.W. Gurley bought 40 acres north of Tulsa and started a bank and started doling out loans to other black people that were interested in starting their own businesses.
Okay.
So by 1921, the north side of Tulsa had turned into a thriving, prosperous black neighborhood known as Greenwood, or more colloquially known as Black Wall Street.
I was hoping it was going to be called Girly Town, but that's fine.
Have you heard of this yet?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. Keep going.
Okay. So Greenwood sprawled over 35 plus city blocks with a population of nearly 10,000 black residents.
I feel like I've heard of like Tulsa race riots, but yeah, I don't know like literally I only know that like
we'll get to it.
When you said race riots in Tulsa, I was like, I've heard those words together before. Yeah, but
they don't call it the race riots anymore.
Okay, good.
Yep. So there were restaurants, hair salons, photography studios, funeral parlors, sweet shops, dozens of stores, shoemakers, library, doctors, surgeons, nurses. They even had their own school district. So a man named J.B. Stradford opened a luxury 54-room hotel named the Stradford Hotel, and this featured a pool hall, saloon, and dining room.
I feel like that feels like a Ghost Adventures location.
It absolutely is not.
I'm just saying the Stradford Hotel.
It sounds like it should be.
Yeah, it sounds like somewhere. I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore, by the way you're shaking your head violently.
Yeah, so...
it was burned to the ground by these fuckers. Okay, we're going to get there?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
So it was the largest black-owned hotel in the United States. Greenwood even had its own black-owned newspaper published by A.J. Smitherman.
All the initials.
And they're great names, too, though. So this regularly included information on new laws and ordinances being passed that would affect the community as a whole and individual black people, also how to stay safe, and most importantly, highlighted black success stories.
Okay.
Which was a sharp contrast to what white newspapers ran. They were always painting black people as criminals.
Shocking.
Yep. So Gurley told the black community that if they pooled their resources, they would thrive, and thrive they did. Most of the population of Greenwood worked within Greenwood itself, and a few people that worked in Tulsa brought that money back into the community, and it was said that the money would exchange hands up to 19 times before it left Black Wall Street. That is a massive GDP.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's kind of supposed to work.
Yeah, that is the way it's supposed to work.
Any town or city or anything.
Or entire country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's not go macro. Let's stay micro.
So this built an insane amount of community wealth.
Mm-hmm.
By May 30th, 1921, a 19-year-old black man named Dick Rowland, no more initials.
Dick Rowland.
Dick Rowland.
Okay. Have you seen Schitt's Creek? Just kidding.
So he was using the elevator in the Drexel building in the white part of Tulsa. He was headed up to the 4th floor to use the, quote, colored bathrooms because the shoe store that he worked at as the shoe polisher didn't have a bathroom for him to use. So he had to walk multiple blocks away to where there was one.
Okay.
Yep.
When I went to that conference in Chicago, there were shoe shiners.
That's so crazy. I bet you they didn't have to walk four blocks to go use their own
but they
bathroom.
were in the conference center on the bottom floor with the bathrooms. There's like 4 shoe shiners. And they like had a sign for them, and it was like X amount for shoes, like on foot or off foot.
One, weird thing to still be around.
Mm-hmm.
2, I wouldn't touch, you couldn't pay me enough. I'd be worried that there'd be some like rich dude with a poor person kink with a foot fetish who would be like, yes, polish my shoes.
I don't think
Peasant.
I don't think that's how any of that works.
The fact that you were in a like in a building with people that were that rich, they'd be like, yes, I'm going to pay somebody to polish my shoes, instead of just taking like a little bit of oil to your shoes. It just blows my mind.
Well,
The wealth distribution. In this
I just
country.
never seen it, but I've never. It didn't.
No, because it shouldn't be a thing. It feels like it's on the edge of perverted.
What?
Yeah, it feels really yucky.
What? No.
Oh yes.
You wax vaginas, and you're like whatever. These
By other ladies, like
and these are just old dudes. They were all black guys, all old black guys, just polishing shoes and making a living doing it in a conference center. It wasn't just there because of the conference I was at.
It was just
it's always there.
Spot.
It's always there.
So bizarre.
I don't know. It's just
and
a profession.
This is 100 years ago. That's what this guy.
But still, it's just their profession. Like they're experts at it. They weren't like.
I mean, I guess
it's not forced
I'm sure
labor.
People that are going. Well, yeah, I'm sure that people.
It was
that
like
also.
It was like $40 to get your shoes shined.
Jesus, they're
Yeah.
probably $1,000 shoes.
Oh yeah,
I'd be afraid to touch somebody's shoes.
But they're doing them in like 10 minutes, so you can make bank doing it.
Yeah, you know what? Exploit the rich white people all you fucking can.
There was half of our conference was international, lady.
Okay, exploit any of the
fine.
rich people as you can. So he was in an elevator.
4th floor.
Yep, he's going up to the 4th floor.
Yep.
In the Drexel building. This is where he met a 17-year-old white teenager named Sarah Page who was operating the elevator. Because back in the 1920s, they had people pulling the little lever and slamming doors and stuff.
Yeah. Some assembly required.
Yes. So at some point, Dick was seen running from the elevator and Page was left screaming. Dick was then seen running from the Drexel building, and this incident was reported to the police, who showed up at Dick's home and arrested him.
Okay.
So by the afternoon of May 31st, the Tulsa Tribune, a white-run newspaper, ran a front-page article claiming that a 19-year-old black man had sexually assaulted a white woman. And that's when the white mob showed up at the courthouse where Dick was being kept in the top floor jail.
Okay.
So a small mob of pissed-off white people decided they wanted to take justice into their own hands.
Naturally.
Yes, yep. So a group of a couple hundred showed up at the courthouse demanding that Rowland be handed over. Fully aware of the lynching trend our country likes to completely embrace, even currently, because history repeats itself. A group of 25 armed black men, mostly of whom were WW1 vets, decided to meet at the courthouse too. So they got wind that there was a mob. They showed up. They arrived at about 9 p.m. and offered to help the sheriff and the armed officers in protecting Rowland while he was jailed. Because they were like, we want our own representative people here.
Yeah.
So the group was turned away, and the sheriff telling them that they had it all under control.
For that 1 minute. Okay.
Well, word spread that there were black people that showed up armed. So another few hundred white people showed up, and this time a lot of them were armed themselves. Rumors spread some more. Word got back around to Greenwood that the mob was growing and openly calling for a lynching.
Naturally.
So around 10 p.m., a large group of black men, it was about 75 members, showed back up to the courthouse because they rightfully did not trust the shit show that was unfolding.
Can't imagine why.
No. And there was a tussle, and an armed white man decided he was going to unarm a black WW1 vet.
All right.
With a shotgun.
I hope by unarm you don't mean like blew his arm off.
No.
Okay.
No. Take his gun.
Yes.
So they tussled over the gun. One of their guns went off, and then all of a sudden, this was no longer about a black man allegedly assaulting a white woman.
This was the shot heard round the
Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Yeah. It very much, because it had been growing. They had seen
it was that
white
powder keg thing.
Yeah. And they have all this like years of tension anyway, and there's a lot of misinformation being spread because, propaganda.
Yep.
Doesn't sound...
None of that hits close to home, so yeah.
No, doesn't sound familiar at all. So the years of tension building in Tulsa broke in a tsunami of white rage and entitlement. A brawl ensued, clearly outnumbered. The black men went back to the safety of Greenwood. The whites, on the other hand, sought out the sheriff and police. Mm-hmm. There was a very large handful of them were deputized on the spot and armed and told by authorities to go get themselves an N-word.
Okay. So wait, the white people went to the sheriffs who denied the help?
Nope, they deputized him.
I know, but the same sheriffs that denied the help of
of the black people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And then they gave them free will to
just shoot.
Yep, and handed them the weapons to do so.
Cool.
So other white people went home to arm themselves or just raided local stores and helped themselves to shiny new guns.
Nice.
And they planned. The mob, which had grown to the thousands, lined the railroad tracks that separated Greenwood from the rest of Tulsa, waiting. So the black community had spent the night trying to fortify their neighborhood. Stradford, part of a small group of black men, went to protect Roland. He had posted himself in his hotel on the second floor.
Okay.
And then there were some of the WW1 vets. They stationed themselves in the bell tower of the Mount Zion Church, which is the highest vantage point in Greenwood. Because, again, they weren't stupid. Mm-hmm. So the mob had followed them into Greenwood, where the black community managed to defend their homes and businesses. And by 2 or 3 a.m., things had quieted down, and the white mob had left.
All right.
But as dawn broke, a siren was heard across all of Tulsa. And that white line that was lined across the railroad tracks of 2,000-plus strong racist-fueled mob fired on Greenwood.
Okay.
All at once.
The firing squad style?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had left Greenwood in the early mornings, in the early morning hours.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, it is. To re-rally and get more guns, ammunitions, torches, kerosene, machine guns.
Okay.
And
necessary.
And airplanes.
I don't think they went and got the airplanes, but they readied the airplanes.
Yeah, no, they had. Yeah, they readied the airplanes.
Yeah. They didn't bring them with them.
About a dozen of them.
Okay, that's excessive.
So while the planes were dropping homemade incendiary devices that historians now know were made out of turpentine balls, the white mob poured into Greenwood and they shot into businesses, fronts of houses, into tops of buildings, and going house by house and block by block, shouting for the blacks to come leave their homes. And both white civilians and white cops, I found court records where they were interviewing a dude who was there, literally saying, I saw 2 police officers smashing in the windows to businesses with bricks.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me at that point.
Or sound familiar at all.
Well, yeah, but...
all of this it was so frustrating.
I get that. I'm trying to keep it to this story and
not just everything else that's happened within the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So, they broke into black-owned businesses, looting and setting them ablaze. And in 2001, a 107-year-old Viola Fletcher testified before Congress retelling the events of the night of the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Okay.
She was 7
how
when
old?
this happened. She's 107.
I was going to say, okay.
She testified in Congress in... Oh, no, this was not 2001. So sorry. This was not 2001. It was May of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Recently.
May of 2021, 107-year-old Viola Fletcher testified before Congress retelling the events. Quote, I went to bed in my family's home in Greenwood, she recounted. The neighborhood I fell asleep in that night was rich, not just in terms of wealth, but in culture and heritage. My family had a beautiful home. We had great neighbors. I had friends to play with. I felt safe. I had everything a child could need. I had a bright future. And then, she said, came the rampage, still vivid in her mind 100 years later. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the streets, and I still smell smoke and see fire. I see black businesses being burned. I still hear the airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams.
It's terrible.
Yep. So black people, I told you it was going to be bad.
Well, yeah.
We had a fun one last episode, and I was like, let's ruin it. Let's leave you guys with this real heavy episode.
Horrible thing, yeah.
We'll come back in 3 weeks. So black people rightfully fought back. Stratford started picking off white people in the streets below him with his pistol and shotgun that he passed between him and his son to be reloaded.
Patriot style.
Yes, sir. Aim small, miss small. So the WW1 vets secured in the church's tower. The biggest gunfight broke out at that Mount Zion church in that tower, where white people openly fired their machine guns on the WW1 vets perched in the tower.
Naturally.
Yep. So the hospital, schools, library, everything was destroyed and set ablaze, which are literal war crimes.
Well, they don't care about that.
They're
deputized.
Yeah. It's huge eye roll. I'm pretty sure I didn't see any color, just all white.
Yeah.
No, because destroying hospitals it is literally a war crime.
Yeah.
For those of you who didn't know. So firefighters that were very slow. They were brought to the scene, but they were held at bay. So like they weren't called until like mid-morning.
Yeah.
So this happened at dawn. And they were like eventually called. They lollygagged, finally showed up, and there were people being like, nope, can't come in. They threatened their lives. There were black people surrendering in the streets. Some had managed to flee. By noon on June 1st, the governor of Oklahoma had declared martial law, and the National Guard was brought in.
Okay.
Great, right?
To do good or bad?
So, they did help put out fires, but some guards were trying to coax Stratford out of his hotel, who didn't want to leave out of fear that his hotel would be destroyed. They promised that nothing would happen to the Stratford hotel. They managed to talk him out of it, and then once he was in handcuffs, they set the hotel ablaze, and there was only 2 walls left standing.
Why?
The National Guard.
Okay, but I know.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Why?
Just
National Guard. Your National Guard that you call in is usually locals.
Yeah. So
they'd be all part of it.
The same fucks. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So in total, there were 6,000 black Tulsans arrested by the National Guard.
For what?
Ensuing a riot.
Okay.
And they were taken to quickly erected internment camps. Sorry, centers, internment centers.
Okay.
Not camps.
No.
Located at Tulsa's Convention Hall, baseball fields, library, all while Greenwood continued to burn because they weren't putting the fires out fast enough. So the black community were held in these camps for up to 8 days before they were finally dismantled.
Okay.
A black person was allowed to leave, though, but only once they were given a green card for their release, signed by a white person who was willing to take responsibility for that black person's actions once they were released.
Okay.
So you better hope you had a white friend.
Still.
So, how you feeling?
I'm just upset.
Yeah. now you know how I feel when you did the Patreon episode where I was just like, I'm so mad, and you're like, stop interrupting me. I'm like, but I'm so mad.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between you and I.
Yeah.
I just want to turn this off.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Sometimes you got to go terrible. Also, these things are really important.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And this is also why it's really hard for me to be like, let's cover stories during Juneteenth.
Yeah.
It's just sad. So, by the end of the attack, there were... Sad's not a big enough word. Please don't... I don't want it to sound like we're belittling.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
There's not a word
No, it's
for
just
it.
infuriating.
So by the end of the attack, there were only 2 blocks left of Greenwood. There were 1,256 homes that were burned. An additional 215 had been looted. Hundreds of businesses had been destroyed, and it left somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 people homeless.
Is that all?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, the Stratford Hotel only had 1.5 exterior walls standing. Many other businesses closed down after the massacre and were unable to reopen, including the Tulsa Star, which was their local newspaper.
Yep.
There was an estimated $2 to $2.5 million worth of black wealth destroyed in the span of 18 hours. In today's money...
To say that's not, whatever you call, calculated out to today's...
Nope. So, and there
extrapolated.
Yes, and there wasn't any... All of the articles that I read, none of them had put it in today's money.
Yeah.
Like, it was just $2 to $2.5 million. You're like, okay, well, this is 100 years ago, and we've had massive inflation in the last year.
Yeah.
So, in 2022 money, it is $33.1 to $44.1 million. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't more.
That's just wealth that doesn't count.
Destroyed. Yeah.
That doesn't count the potential of where that
property
would have
damage.
mounted.
It's just property damage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just property damage in
businesses, which you can't really put a fiscal amount on.
No,
easily.
especially something like the Stratford.
Yeah.
Like it was the biggest luxury, most luxurious hotel.
It could still be open today. Yeah.
He could have been the next Hilton.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did they destroy that immediate wealth, they also destroyed generations worth of wealth.
Yeah.
Which is why people, I don't think, realize just how bad it is. Redlining, which essentially created what we call the ghetto. Redlining didn't stop happening until the 1960s.
Yeah.
That's one generation ago.
Yeah, our parents were alive.
Yeah, and like I said, this woman that literally saw it was testifying in Congress.
Yeah, well, granted,
last
she was
year.
super fucking old,
but
yeah.
Still,
yeah,
these people are one generation away from slaves.
Mm-hmm.
From slavery. Sorry, slaves is bad. From being enslaved, it's just very sad, and the potential for the wealth that got taken away could never be counted. So, official county records placed the death toll at 36 people. 26 black and 10 white.
Okay.
But after a modern-day investigation and oral history collecting, historians believe that a more accurate number is between 100 and 300 people killed in the massacre.
That's slightly different. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this made it
That's some bad estimations.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So it gets worse. This made it the United States' most deadly race, quote, riot. Mm-hmm. Now, Tulsa had a bit of what was referred to as a PR problem.
Okay. Yep. I don't think it's probably, in terms of I don't think it's making Forbes top 10 places to live.
No. They need a marketing team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they were half the city had burned down, and there were a bunch of dead black people and 6,000 people in internment camps. So they had to put a spin on this, naturally. So the truth is not a good narrative for morally bankrupt people. So everything was hushed up. The Tulsa Tribune, which reported the alleged assault, pulled the front page article from the newspaper that day before it was submitted to Record to be microfiched. Mm-hmm. So there's no front page for that year.
Nope.
And then any other reports from other newspapers were pulled as well. So in the aftermath, anything reported was pulled.
Okay.
So the narrative that was pushed was that the black people started it.
Well, naturally.
Yeah. And the dead were quickly buried in unmarked mass graves.
Okay. But I bet you it was 10 and 260, but they just round down to 26. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So charges against Dick Rowland were dropped. Mm-hmm. Shocking.
Okay, so this all was for nothing.
Yeah, yep. And so later, we know that Sarah Page had never reported anything. It was an onlooker, and all that had actually happened in the elevator was that it had lurched a little bit, and Dick reached out to steady himself and had the audacity to touch a white woman on the shoulder. He could have also possibly stepped on her shoe.
Oh, man.
So she screamed.
Oh, goodness.
I know. He could have just polished that little smudge out.
I suppose. That's still.
So because, the black man touched her, so she's got to scream.
Yeah.
And then Dick fled the scene because the KKK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Equivalent, right? Totally equivalent.
Yeah.
So Stratford was charged with inciting a riot.
Mm-hmm.
And his son posted his bail, and he just...
Got out of town.
Yeah, he fled to Chicago.
Probably a good call.
Yep. And then Smitherman, he's the Tulsa Star publisher.
Uh-huh.
He was also charged with inciting a riot, and he escaped with the help from his brother and disappeared somewhere. No one knows where. But his brother was caught by the KKK, and his ear was cut off as punishment for helping him.
What? Mm-hmm. Like he's an elf?
Yeah.
In like ancient times?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a handful of other black people were also charged with race riot crimes, with riot-related crimes.
I'm waiting for all the white people to be charged.
There wasn't a single one that was charged with murder or looting.
Okay. Well, why would there be?
There's so many of them. It would be so hard. You wouldn't be able to arrest them all, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. We're fine.
Are we?
Yep.
Okay, good.
So this was 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm. My anxiety's high.
Yep. And it's hot in here. We're just like really like all that white guilt. I'm pitting out a little bit. It's
My
bad.
resting heart rate now is 101, by the way.
I should
This is
probably
not
check
good
mine.
for my my cardiac
Mine
levels.
is 72.
Well, you're less upset than I am.
It's because I've had a few days to stew on this. So, the city of Tulsa needed to come out looking halfway decent. So the Red Cross was brought in. They supplied relief efforts, and along with the NAACP, funds were supplied to help rebuild Greenwood. When people began to return to the neighborhood, a local man named B.C. Franklin,
Okay.
just there's a through line. We got 2 letters and a bottom
I hope
last
his name was Benjamin.
Yeah. So he set up a tent and started printing legal documents in an attempt to inform the black community of their rights and to preserve the rights to rebuild Greenwood.
Okay.
So he sat down and wrote out like all the shit they needed.
Well, the legal systems worked so well for them in the past. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's something.
I get it's a step, but I'm just saying that it just feels
it's at least
fake, or at least it's useless at a certain point.
Yeah, but at least they're attempting also to make record keeping.
Sort of proof. I'm not shitting on the efforts or the thoughts.
No.
I'm shitting on the system that was set up to fuck them from day one.
Yeah, and still.
Well, that's not.
And it's not. And
I'm not saying it's stopped. I'm saying it's from day one to be continued.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then made worse. And I don't want to sound like the asshole who's like jumping on the whole like, we have problems too. But also like the system is now completely evolved into including more people like the LGBTQ community and like poorer people. It's just designed to keep everybody down. It's fine.
That's why we learned to make our own bread today, just to be prepared.
Yes, we did. Just to sound like doomsday preppers with our little victory garden out back.
It's because you're gluten-free and I'm sick of buying you expensive bread.
That is true.
Yeah.
So, I'm just so sad. So, the city of Tulsa has started throwing up a lot of red tape immediately to stop it from being rebuilt. Like they developed fire ordinances and denying Greenwood residences their insurance claims.
Okay.
So, big hunks of the neighborhood were bought up by OSU Tulsa or the city of Tulsa itself to develop a freeway that runs right through the middle of Greenwood now.
Okay.
Yep.
Fuck Tulsa.
Yep. So it was.
I've always hated that college football team anyway. So fuck Tulsa. Your mascot's ugly. I don't even know what it is. It's just red and blue and ugly. Fuck Tulsa.
It's probably some Patriot. Ugh.
It's probably I always played. This is Jamie. You'll get this joke because this is way back in college football games. I'd always play as the North Texas Mean Green, and I'm pretty sure Tulsa's in their division. So I've been hating on Tulsa for decades.
Just the proper ingrained hate.
Yeah.
So it was swept under the rug and deliberately covered up. White people didn't talk about it because no one wanted to admit that a family member took part in it. And then black people didn't talk about it out of fear of quashing the hopes of their children because they did everything right. They're like, we did everything right. We did what we were supposed to. We stayed away from the white people like they wanted us to. We developed our own communities. We built all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
We did everything right.
This will shock you. The University of Tulsa, the University of Tulsa is a private college.
What?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought that was a private college?
Mm-hmm. It's Presbyterian, for what it's worth.
It at this point is about all the same.
It used to be a college for girls.
Oh, that's nice of them, because they didn't want boys mingling with. They couldn't have girls mingling around the boys and tempting them with their ankles.
Their motto is wisdom, faith, service. Their nicknames...
They did such good service. They built that highway so nice.
Their nickname is the Golden Hurricanes.
Ew.
Thank you.
I hate everything about it.
Correct response. L. Anyway.
Woo, sports.
Proceed.
So...
That's not strictly sports.
So it was soon lost to history, the story, just like those unmarked graves. But thanks to a dogged director of the Red Cross, a woman named Maurice Willows, who kept a written history of the event, and a local historian, Eddie Faye Gates, who interviewed every survivor she could get her hands on between 1997 and 2001. Eddie Faye. It's a lady.
I just thought, I've always heard, like, I always expect Edie to be the...
Edie is Eaddie.
I'm not... No, I was just asking for clarification, not correction.
No, I had to.
That's fine.
I had to rewind it and
Eddie
make
Faye
sure
is a
as
fun
well.
name.
Yeah. Next dog. New fish.
I'm not naming a dog after this lady who did good things.
That dog doesn't deserve
I told
that.
you. I want our sucker fish to be called Art Pleco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great name. You're gonna have to fight Lil for it though.
I'll have to make it seem like her idea.
Okay.
You guys like that.
She loves puns.
She won't get the pun. She doesn't know what Art Deco is. Maybe she does. You guys talk about art theory quite a bit.
We do. So these people, Eddie Faye, yep, and Maurice Willows, who kept record. Yeah, she kept record of everything during the so the Red Cross at least had some sort of record of the aftermath.
Yep.
And helping people.
We're Team Red Cross over red tape here.
Yep. Yes. So,
or red line.
Or red line.
Yep.
And then, or blue lines. Fuck the blue lines too. Just really get them all.
Stick with the red theory here.
It's red lines.
Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, you can't get me started on the thin blue line thing too, because that's also.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
Focus,
the history on that's bad too.
Focus, lady.
So these people took all the history into account, interviewed people, finally dug out the records, and then the Tulsa Race Massacre was finally brought to national attention shortly after its 75th year anniversary.
So in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once it finally made its way into the Oklahoma and then national history books being used in high schools today, side note, a law was, they tried to make it mandatory to be taught in schools in Oklahoma in 2012, but it was shot down by the state Senate because it was already being taught in Tulsa.
Then what's the problem putting it in the law? If it's redundant, who cares? That's what most laws are anyway.
Because now they wouldn't have to teach it. Because, now it's optional.
Yeah.
Convenient, right?
It's already there. Fine.
Look,
put it in the law.
You guys. I'm just saying.
The lack of common sense just befuddles me.
Look. Everybody's like, I don't know why the political environment is the way that it is here in the United States all of a sudden. I'm like, bitch, this shit's been going on since the 50s. This is a long time coming. It's just coming to a head.
Your heart rate still 72 over there? You seem stressed.
It is 79.
Oh my God, we're peaking.
I'm like the Hulk. Are
you?
Isn't that
you have green hair.
Mm-hmm. So,
is that what the green streak on your forehead is?
Yes. Is my Hulk coming out?
Yeah. It's contouring your forehead vein nicely.
Isn't that Dr. Is it Brenner? Dr.
Bruce Brenner?
Bruce Brenner? Yeah. Dr. Brenner?
Is it Bruce Brenner?
I think so.
Okay.
That's Bruce's thing, right? In the latest movies is that he's always the Hulk because the secret is always staying mad.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so calm, because I'm like the Hulk. I'm just always mad, so my body is acclimated.
Bruce Banner.
You're
thinking of Bruce Jenner.
That's a dead name.
I know, but I'm saying that's the name you're associating with.
Yeah, but that's a dead name.
Okay, it was still a name.
Yeah,
I'm just,
yes, it was still a name.
Yeah, but I think that we were smashing
everything
Bruce
together.
Jenner and Bruce Banner and made Bruce Brenner,
sure,
who's a really fast Hulk.
Yes,
Olympian Hulk.
Yes.
Who also transitioned.
Yes.
See? It all makes sense.
Yes. There were dots being connected
Yes.
just in some weird back and forth.
It was that like 2010 part of our lives that's really hard to reflect back on. That's when all of that was happening.
Yes, yes. So oh God, I lost my spot. Anyway, they didn't make it a law because it was already being taught.
Yep.
But they were successfully able to get the name changed from the riot to massacre in 2018.
Okay.
Yep.
Better late than never.
Mm-hmm. So you would think that Tulsa would make reparations, but
no.
The city says
No one was ever charged.
no to the black people.
For what? There was no crimes.
They started the riot.
Well, yeah, reparations should be going to Tulsa.
Yeah. No.
Is that what you're saying?
Nah.
For the riot that... No? Okay.
No. The city says that they don't owe anyone anything because no one is still alive and being affected by it.
What about 107-year-old lady? Mm-hmm. Not being affected? Anyway. Sorry. We don't have time in this podcast.
Sorry. It's almost... I have a little bit of joy seeing you react the way that I react because you're usually so chill. And then and now you're like, it just sneaks out every once in a while. And it makes me feel validated. Like I'm not the only rage machine.
When we come back in 3 weeks, I need a good old-fashioned white guy murdering white women that I can just dump on him for an hour straight.
Okay.
That's all I need, okay? Let's take all of the bullshit that boils back over to today's issues and just set it aside. And let me just dump on some psychopath for 1 hour. Okay.
I can do that for you.
I'd appreciate it.
But only because I like you.
And you like the people that listen to this podcast.
Yes.
But
I also feel like this was super important to know.
I don't disagree with that. And I understand this is tell me something terrible because that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But this is tell me something that's terrible and is going to just infuriate you for an hour. And I'm not an excitable person. I agree. I usually am pretty even keeled, but it's just so useless and stupid and unnecessary. And it's every negative adjective you can think of. What?
Did you know that the cop that shot Breonna Taylor is being charged by the FBI?
Yeah, no, we've already talked.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
Well, look.
All 4 of them got charged.
Great.
I have TikTok. I know things.
Yeah, see? That's why you get TikTok.
Anyway.
Just feed the hate fire. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm here for.
No, you send me things that ruin my algorithm. My TikTok is literally exercise, lifting, and it's cocktails and it's food. That's it's a pretty good summation of me. Uh-huh. And it's Call of Duty tips, gun build tips. But other than that, I get on there as to be a zombie.
Relax.
Yeah. Not to get all worked up.
I told you. I am the Hulk. That's the secret.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Anyway, proceed.
So, City of Tulsa says they don't owe reparations, but the mayor of Tulsa, G.T. Bynum, just to keep sticking with the two.
Okay.
He did reopen the investigation into the events and the investigations into the rumored mass grave sites. So in September of 2020, excavation...
Okay, recent.
Yeah.
Mid-pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Excavation teams found 12 unmarked coffins and a death record in the Oakland Cemetery in Greenwood. So it is being treated as a crime scene.
Okay.
And there's 2 other sites that they need to explore as well for the mass graves.
This is going to shock you.
Okay.
G.T. Bynum, George Theron, is a 44-year-old white Republican. I know you're shocked. I just thought you should know. What? He named his son Robert. Just thought you should know. Anyway.
Is it Robert Todd, the secret assassin?
No. His daughter's name's Annabelle, too.
There's still some log cabin Republicans around that,
He's got fun.
Need to just go ahead and switch to the other side.
He's got fun red glasses. I had really good hope for him, and then I didn't.
Look.
Yep.
Democrats are just Republicans in pretty suits.
Anyway.
Blue suits.
I don't care where he went to high school. Anyway, keep going.
Okay. That's it.
That's the whole thing?
That's the whole thing. Well, there's more, like details and stuff. But yeah, that's the race riot. They're still looking for the unmarked graves.
Okay.
And that's the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacres and the decimation of Black Wall Street.
Okay.
Literally bombed.
I wonder why they went... Like, I understand, I guess, why they called it Black Wall Street. I can't believe how long
there was somebody
Wall Street's been around.
Yeah, okay, look. There was a president or somebody in our government went there and called it the word
Okay.
Black Street, and then it got changed to Black Wall Street. Also, Wall Street's where they sold people at. Sold black people at Wall Street. Like, that's like what Wall Street was.
On Wall Street.
On Wall Street.
Say it wasn't probably at
That's
Wall
what
Street.
started it.
Okay.
And now it's stock exchange, which is made up and a joke. I hate it so much. And I'm a business major, and I've taken multiple economics classes, and I'm like,
and
why?
we own stocks.
And we own stocks. Still a fucking joke.
You're like, I don't know what we own.
It doesn't
I
matter.
ignore all
It's
of it.
all fake. All of it's fake. I'm so fine. I just, looking back, I think I would be mad. I think if somebody called the place that I lived the Black Wall Street.
Well, that's why I was somewhat surprised that they embraced it. But yeah, they probably took it as a compliment. Yeah.
Yes, only seeing the financial side of it and not realizing, like, bro.
They should have called it like the Black Hamptons.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got sources?
I do have sources.
Not from whatever the fuck Tulsa newspaper. They retracted
Not
all that
Tulsa Tribune. Nope.
Tulsa Star.
Tulsa Star is the one that was black owned. Tulsa Tribune was one of the like multiple white ones.
Why is it that churches and newspapers have like 14 words they choose from, and you just randomly pick one, and that's the name of your church/newspaper?
That's what they do. They have a big meeting, and they have like the bingo style pages, and they just put little papers in there, and then they just pull them out randomly.
Do you want to be a Tribune, a Gazette, a Star, a Sun,
a Times?
Yeah. Which one do you want to be? Yep. Anyway, in churches, same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hope.
There's a lot of rocks, stones, hopes,
points,
villages.
Crosses.
Yeah, you get there's like 24 buzzwords, and you smash two together, and then you throw your potential denomination in there if you have one.
Woo, marketing.
Anyway, proceed.
So I use the TulsaHistory.org, History.com articles. Tulsa's Black Wall Street flourished as a self-contained hub in the early 1900s, Tulsa Race Massacre, and how the Race Massacre was covered up, and the Tulsa Race Massacre facts about the attack.
And I did not speed that up. That's how fast she said that.
Yep. And then
this is not the fine print on the podcast.
So then I also watched a documentary from History Channel called Tulsa Burning, and then Time.com article, archaeologists have located a possible mass grave associated with the 1921 Tulsa race riots. Massacres. And those are my sources. That one said riots, but yes, massacres.
Anyway.
That article was probably written pre-2018.
So on a separate...
So yeah, 300 people dead. And there were people that in that one documentary, there were people in that one documentary, black people, that had never heard of it, that they were interviewing,
That's
like
crazy.
our age.
That's crazy. Yep. But they're teaching it in the schools already.
Oh, yeah.
The
that
Patreon episode for this month will not be heavy. I'm going to go light. I'm going to go inspiring, uplifting, cats in space, something fun. Just kidding, it won't be cats in space. But
I'm sure Cats in Space is actually really tragic.
It will be about a not shitty person/event.
Okay.
Which most of them are, for the record. The last one just wasn't, because I found two funny words, went down a rabbit hole, and
then was like, let's piss Tiff off this time.
Yes. Anyway, I didn't touch the tablecloth too many times.
I'm so proud of you.
But
you did spin that.
I played with the headphones for a good 20 minutes.
Spin it like a helicopter.
I have anxiety. Not anxiety. I have fidgeting issues. And there's sweat going down my back.
Yeah, just and your heart rate is in the 120s.
No, it's
You've probably
not.
been in zone just sitting here.
It is 92 still.
Oh, it's calmed down a little bit now that we've stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
Sad.
And my wine from earlier wore off, you know. Anyway.
I hope you learned something.
Thanks for listening.
Go be a rage machine.
We will be back in early September.
Yes.
Whenever that works out.
Sorry you didn't get to make a lot of jokes.
That's fine.
Okay.
No one's going to think I'm funny anymore.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll survive.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
If you've made it this far.
Congrats. And thanks for listening to 104 episodes if you're one of those people.
Yes. And we promise we will be back because...
Yeah, we're not going to just hang it up forever.
No.
So,
I like torturing Scott.
And there'll be like a week where we have to... You never know. You might see a surprise episode.
Yeah.
Doubtful.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Whatever.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.